Carlos Alcaraz's historic record within reach at the Australian Open. Alcaraz aims to win the Australian Open and become the youngest champion of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments, leaving his mark in tennis history. Carlos Alcaraz is already training in Melbourne, ready to take on the Australian Open, the first major event of the tennis season. The young Spaniard landed on January 5 with a clear goal, to become, between January 12 and 26, the youngest male champion of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments. Currently, this record is held by Rafael Nadal, who achieved it at 24 years old, 14 seasons ago. This 2025 edition represents a unique opportunity for the Spanish player, but if he doesn't achieve it this time, he will still have chances in the future. Alcaraz's progress in Melbourne has been steady. In his 2021 debut, he reached the second round, and a year later, he advanced to the third. However, in 2023, a muscle injury in his right leg prevented him from competing. In the most recent edition, he reached the quarterfinals, where he lost to Alexander Zverev. Now, he aims to surpass that milestone. Since his ATP circuit debut on February 17, 2020, the player from El Palmar has left an indelible mark on global tennis, conquering 3 Grand Slam titles in record time. In 2022, he became the US Open champion after defeating Norway's Casper Ruud in a thrilling final. Just a year later, he dazzled on Wimbledon's grass courts by defeating the legendary Novak Djokovic. In 2024, he solidified his dominance with 2 more milestones: his coronation at Roland Garros after beating Alexander Zverev and another Wimbledon victory, reaffirming his supremacy over Djokovic. After a first practice session at the Rod Laver Arena on Monday, where he trained with Frenchman Giovanni Perricard, the Spaniard faced Djokovic on Tuesday in a high-level duel on Melbourne Park Centre Court. The Serbian, under the guidance of new coach Andy Murray, showed excellent form and won 7-5 in a contested set. To fine-tune details, Alcaraz will play 2 exhibition matches before the tournament. On Wednesday, January 8, he will face Alex de Minaur at 9 a.m. Spanish time, and on Friday, January 10, he will play against Australian Alexei Popyrin starting at 7 a.m. These matches will allow him to arrive competitively prepared for the Australian Open, where he seeks to cement his place among tennis legends. The Spanish player has a tighter schedule than in previous years, forcing him to give up on a historic title. Samuel Lopez, former coach of Pablo Carreño and now part of Carlos Alcaraz's technical team, explained a few weeks ago what the Spaniard's 2025 season calendar would look like. It became clear, as confirmed on Monday, that he would skip representing Spain in the Davis Cup match against Switzerland, to be held at the end of January and early February in Switzerland. Spain will attempt to advance with its best players after the world number 3, relying on Pedro Martinez, Roberto Carballes, Alejandro Davidovich, and Pablo Carreño. Roberto Bautista could be added, but at his age, he's also limiting his appearances to avoid overexertion. It seems logical since he has already led in past years and is a champion of this competition. Carlos Alcaraz, however, faces a different situation. His dream of winning this competition has become increasingly complicated, especially as Spain might face Novak Djokovic's committed Serbia or Rune's Denmark in later rounds if they progress. Nevertheless, his decision is logical. According to Lopez, if Alcaraz played the Davis Cup, he would barely have any rest until April, after the Indian Wells and Miami Masters 1000 events, followed by the clay court season, where he will be the man to beat. This was even before adding the Qatar tournament, which was initially one of his 2 rest weeks but is now part of his schedule. The Spanish player already has a packed calendar and cannot afford to add more tournaments. Nadal similarly fought to reduce Davis Cup weeks during his time to fit them into his schedule. However, the new format complicates qualification for the finals, requiring stars to appear in February if they want to avoid an early exit. The ITF's injustice. The ITF has shot itself in the foot, compounded by the injustice of seeing a team directly qualified for an 8-team final, as is the case with Sinners Italy. Spain, despite hosting it for several years, was never granted such a privilege. If Spain doesn't reach the finals, little blame will fall on Alcaraz, who cannot single-handedly solve a long-standing problem worsened by the ITF's decisions. Alcaraz prepares for the Australian Open facing Djokovic. The Spaniard and Serbian played a 1-set practice match won by Djokovic. However, such a striking image is not unusual in tennis, as shown this Tuesday by Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. The Spaniard and Serbian, protagonists of tense and memorable matches, trained together for the upcoming Australian Open, January 12 to 26. Both, along with world number 1 Jannik Sinner, will be favourites at the Melbourne tournament. The Italian, already in Australia, sharpened his skills in an exhibition match against Alexei Popyrin, a creative way to prepare while avoiding the monotony of solo practice sessions. Djokovic, ready to compete. The Serbian, aiming for his 11th title at this event, also began his Australian preparations on Tuesday. Beyond his new coaching partnership with Andy Murray, Djokovic practiced with one of his great rivals, Carlos Alcaraz. The practice match did not disappoint. According to journalists present at Melbourne Park Centre Court, the veteran Djokovic won the set 7-5, thanks to his superior serving efficiency. Although an Alcaraz-Djokovic friendly match is striking, it's not the first time these two, currently ranked 3rd and 7th globally, have trained together. They previously crossed paths at the Mutua Madrid Open, Roland Garros, Paris-Bercy, and the 2023 ATP Finals in Turin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, because here at Tennis Zone, we dedicate ourselves to providing the best content for the best audience. We offer in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and comprehensive coverage of everything related to the world of tennis. Join our community and be part of the excitement of tournaments with us. Additionally, at Tennis Zone, we strive to offer you up-to-date, high-quality content about players, tournaments, strategies, and the most relevant events in the world of tennis.